That Soviet nuclear accident in the Ukraine created fallout today in Chicago.
Nuclear power plant accident inside the Soviet Union.
Increase in radiation levels around the plant up to 3 times natural radiation levels. They assume they got a leak.
Chernobyl accident is almost half a world away. Residents throughout the Northland are worried about the possible health effects from fallout, worried about the safety of our own nuclear reactors, and worried about the possible economic consequences of the accident.
Hello everyone, my name is Abed Spey, and my colleagues and I will show you a film about Chernobyl disaster. The April 1986 disaster at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant in Ukraine was the product of a fluid Soviet reactor designed coupled with serious mistakes made by the plant operators. It was a direct consequence of Cold War isolation and the resulting lack of any safety culture. The accident destroyed the Chernobyl 4th reactor, killing 30 operators and firemen within 3 months and several further deaths later. One person was killed immediately and a second died in hospital soon after as a result of injuries received. Another person is reported to have died at the time from a coronary thrombosis. Acquired radiation syndrome was originally diagnosed in 237 people on site and involved with the cleanup, and it was later confirmed in 134 cases.
25 April, prior to a routine shutdown, the reactor crew at Chernobyl 4 began preparing for a test to determine how long turbines would spin and supply power to the main circulating pumps, following a loss of main electrical power supply. This test had been carried out at Chernobyl the previous year, but the power from the turbine ran down too rapidly, so new voltage regulator designs were to be tested. A series of operator actions, including the disabling of automatic shutdown mechanisms, preceded the attempt test early on 26 April. By the time that the operator moved to shut down the reactor was in an extremely unstable condition. A peculiarity of the design of the control rods caused a dramatic power surge as they were inserted into the reactor.
In Ukraine, in the first 5 years after the disaster, case of cancer among children increased by more than 19%. During the first 20 years after the accident, approximately 5,000 cases of thyroid cancer were registered in Russia, Ukraine, and Belarus. Among those who were younger than 18 at the time of the explosion, the World Health Organization estimates that approximately 5,000 cancer deaths were related to the Chernobyl accident, but this figure is often challenged by independent experts. In Ukraine, in 2005, 19,000 families were receiving government assistance owing to the loss of breadwinner, whose death was deemed to be related to the Chernobyl accident. Other consequences include genetic damage to people born after the disaster. Scientists are particularly concerned about case of microsatellite instability (MSI), a condition that affects the ability of DNA to replace and repair itself, which has been detected in children whose fathers were exposed to radiation after the accident. Similar change were found earlier among children of Soviet soldiers who absorbed radiation during nuclear tests.
In conclusion, Chernobyl disaster is very devastating nuclear disaster and is considered as one of the most catastrophic disasters. Chernobyl disaster killed several people, but the worst part of the disaster is that since it's a nuclear disaster, it has a serious long-term impact, like that of thyroid cancer. One of the key things that can be learned from the study of the disaster is to follow the safety engineering techniques of working in a nuclear power plant. Often, engineers tend to follow instructions blindly from their superiors without questioning them, even if they see possible danger, and many times this can help in avoiding serious accidents.